I'm Tara Bradner, and this is Hopeful Hints, an infertility podcast where you will receive quick, hopeful hints to guide you through infertility. Here, you will find education, inspiration, and most importantly, find peace as you walk through this journey to fulfill your family vision. Are you struggling with understanding what you should eat, what supplements to take, or overwhelmed by what your fertility treatment protocol really means, or simply just need somebody to walk beside you while you're going through infertility? I'd like to introduce you to the Confident Fertility Academy. It is the only program out there of its kind created by a doctorate nurse practitioner. Whether you're just starting your trying to conceive journey or have failed many rounds, the Confident Fertility Academy will help you find clarity with my proven process. You will go from being overwhelmed to confident and in full control moving forward with your fertility care. Inside the Academy is a step-by-step approach to learning everything you need to know to move forward confidently when building your family. You will receive access to lifetime monthly coaching with me and access to an educational course. All of this comes with access for life. Head over to today's show notes to learn more about the Confident Fertility Academy. I'm so excited for today's guest episode with Maria Rothenburger. She is dynamite. She's like me with a bunch of letters behind her name, so we can... But I like to go by Tara and Maria. That's right. That's it. We're technically both doctors due to our degrees, but Tara and Maria is lighter. Let's start out by sharing a little bit about your personal connection with infertility.
Oh, sure. Well, I like to say fertility issues, but that's a side note. We tried to conceive for 6.5 years, and I know the darkness, man. I know the struggles. I know, there aren't words, right?
Right.
So we came to a place where actually my husband and I were looking at divorcing because fertility stuff had just
I'm going to put you right there because I'm going to have you back and we're going to do an entire episode on that because I have been there. Goodness, how many listening have probably been there, but we don't talk about that, right?
We don't.
For various reasons. We need to open it up. So I'm going to say right there, I'm having you back sometime. We're going to touch on that subject alone.
Done. So we were in a really rough place and worked on our marriage for a year. And at that point, I was doing other things too to take care of myself, including the main thing was meditation for me. And I started realizing actually the reason why I started meditating was because I found out about mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is like a psychotherapeutic thing. And I'm like, this is bullshit, and I'm going to prove it wrong. So love it. So I'm like, that's it.
Research-based, is it? Like someone just made this up.
It was research-based. I still was like, this is dumb. So decided to do that. And I was like, well, I'm going to give it 90 days. What else am I doing with my life right now? Life pretty much blows. I'm depressed. I hate it. We can't have children, whatever. So I started meditating. And after 90 days, of really it was hard. It was really hard. I noticed that I wasn't flipping people off when they would cut me off. I was like, oh, maybe this has worked. I started just being completely cool with how life was. I started being like, life is really actually pretty great. I'm finding that I'm grateful for this, grateful for that, the whole gratitude thing, but I really felt it. It wasn't fake. I felt it. And sooner or later, my relationship with my husband got better. We just celebrated 17 years last Friday.
Oh my God. Crazy.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was amazing. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? We had two embryos or three embryos on ice. And he was very much like, I still want to be a dad. And I was like, okay, we'll try it. And I don't want to, destroy or whatever it is, these embryos or donate them to research or anything. I wanted to use them. So we transferred them, and that's the only cycle that I got pregnant. But it didn't last. I did lose that baby. Um, and still, I was zenned out.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember, now normally I would be devastated for at least a month, like non-functional. Um, and I remember the next day walking down the stairs, and I did like totally illegal. I took all of those needles and I popped them right in the garbage. And I was like, yay, F you, fertility's done. I felt so free. Like,
So people
right.
are asking right now as they're listening, what is this meditation program you did? So
I know.
can you disclose that? And did
Oh
you,
my gosh, of course. Yep.
we'll put
Yep.
it in the show notes. Do you get like a cut? Like you should be getting a cut or something.
No, no, no. Meditation is meant to be free. And everybody's meditation is different. I specifically did mindfulness meditation, which was from that MBSR, mindfulness based stress reduction.
Okay.
Uh, Mindfulness is just paying attention on purpose in a specific way. So that means when you have 100,000 thoughts floating through your brain, you notice them. That's all.
Great. And acknowledge.
That's all.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I'm thinking, thinking, thinking. That's it. And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating in the beginning. I did an 8-week mindfulness meditation training. And I remember, because you have to take notes every time you meditate. And I remember writing, I'm judging my mind thinking, and then I'm judging the judging, and then I'm judging the judging of the judging.
Yes.
It's crazy. But that's the mindfulness. You're just noticing what's happening. Right. So I did that. And I did that. My goal was 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. I did not meet that goal. It was more like 20 minutes a day, 4 days a week. Sometimes I would meet the goal, but it was not like that, and still had the effect that I did. And that's not just me. That's many, many people who
Yeah.
have
So good.
that effect.
I think maybe we can once again consider this a tool to use during infertility and outside of infertility when other life situations happen to us.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Right. Well, that's a skill that I use I'll use for the rest of my life, and I teach to other people. It's free. Friggin' A. What's free in fertility stuff? Right. It's totally free. You don't need to be taught how to do it. You just do it. And you get frustrated and you throw shit like I did. I was really annoyed by it, but it worked.
So
Yeah. And so we came to a point where we had our last cycle, and I felt free from the fertility world. And we had a conversation, and I'm like, babe, wouldn't it be cool if we could just move forward without kids? Like, well, that would be so great. What if we had like 6 dogs and we got a bigger property and we could travel? And he's like, okay. And I mean, I went like nuts planning. I was like, oh my God, we could do this, move this money here, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And I was so excited about living child free. And then 2 weeks later, my husband was like, yeah, I really want to be a dad. And I'm still zenned out. So I'm like, okay, let's look at adoption, right? So we started the adoption process shortly thereafter, and we were approved shortly thereafter. And our baby came home 6 months later in a freaking miracle thing. I wrote about. Oh, there's my book right there. I wrote about it in Transcending Infertility. It's crazy how stuff just happened. So that's my role in the fertility.
you're going to link your book in today's show notes. So you guys check it out, and we'll link everything to you because I feel like you have so much, which is amazing. Let's jump into your 3 hopeful hints. I say this a lot, but these are so, so good. So hopeful hint number 1.
You can find peace even before you have a baby in your arms, AKA resolve infertility, which is, the word infertility is a whole nother thing for me. But just how I felt, I felt like life was freaking good, and I didn't have a baby. I didn't need that to feel like life was great. I credit the shift to meditation, but we did a boatload of work, man. We had marriage stuff. I started noticing tiny things like bees flying around the lavender in our backyard. I just started really being in awe of like living. And this is coming from someone who I was literally suicidal. I mean, I'd be driving to work and like stop at a stoplight and I would feel, oh my God, another thing, another barrier stopping me from moving forward. This is how like deep and dark. And I giggle a little bit because I feel like I just want to hug that girl. Um, but it was dark. It was a dark, dark, dark place.
I think people that haven't been through infertility don't realize the mental health impact this disease carries,
Right.
because I could list off a handful of people I know personally and through my work that have had suicidal thoughts
Yes.
or very angry, deep, dark thoughts. So if that's you and you're listening, we want to hug you.
That's right.
And
That's right.
that let's get some tools on board and work through that because it's a real thing. And what you're feeling is real. It's so real.
It is real and it's resolvable. And you are so not the only one. I know people say that over time, but wow, I wish people would talk about that and the marriage stuff a lot more.
We just don't talk about these things. Yet we all need to be talking about these things.
Yes, we do.
So Maria, we're going to talk more about that marriage piece.
If you are already in a space where you're not able to communicate well, the fertility stuff just enhances what's already there. So couples who communicate well and they do well together, that is oftentimes enhanced. So I call that the orange theory. That's from Wayne Dyer. He talks about when you squeeze an orange, what comes out is what's inside. Well, when you squeeze a relationship or yourself, like stress, what comes out is what's inside.
All right, that makes so much sense. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see how we can go deep into the couple.
We can. Do this. I'm going to hold something over to you in the meantime.
Let's do that. So I wrote, you can connect and communicate with your spirit baby before they are earthside.
Ooh, goosebumps.
I know. Okay, so here's how I roll, right? I have all these letters after my name as you do, right? So we're like sciencey, science, 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 science over here. And then over here, I'm very, esoteric, looking at things that we can't measure, you know? So energy healing and things like this. So I'm like both. I love both. So when I talk about being able to connect with your spirit baby before they're born, this is a relatively long story, but I'll keep it short. When I was um, out of the fertility struggle world and finally, able to work well, I started specializing in fertility issues and counseling. And I met with a woman who had unfortunately lost her twins late term pregnancy. And so we were working through her grief, right? So that's what you do in counseling, you work through grief. Well, in the middle of our session, I had the very strange experience of her two babies coming and bothering me, like being chatty, like it in my space. Like, you need to tell we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here, blah, blah, blah. I could see them, I could hear them, and I thought I was nuts. And so I just ignored it. Well, I drove home and they were messing with my radio and they landed on, I was listening to podcasts and they were flipping between these podcasts and they landed on one finally that said, get over yourself, right at the moment that the host said, get over yourself. And I went, oh my, okay, sassy people. I still didn't say anything. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell nobody. I just thought, I'm making this up, obviously, right? This is like crazy. Well, same thing for 2 freaking weeks, Tara. 2 freaking weeks. These babies follow me around. You got to tell them, you got to tell them, you got to tell them, tell her what's going on. And I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Well, so I saw her again and we were in the middle of a session and here, of course, they are again. And I stopped the therapy. I said, okay. She was just stuck. And I said, okay, this part right here, not therapy. And I will extend your therapy session if you want, but how open are you? And she said, I'm very open. And so we started having this conversation. And she's like, how do you know that? How do you know the doorbell's ringing in the middle of the night? Pictures are falling off the wall. My husband's a prankster. Like, how do you know this stuff? And I'm like, I don't know. They're freaking telling me and it's freaking me out.
Oh, I love it.
So that was like 8 years ago now. And I never said anything ever again to anybody in counseling or otherwise. I just kept exploring this. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And I did some trainings and these kinds of things. And finally, I came to a point where I realized, oh, this could actually be really healing for people. She was like so comforted by this. And it really helped her heal her grief, I think, much faster than I could have helped her with traditional grief counseling. So that's what I mean by you can communicate before your baby is even earthside. And now I do spirit baby communication. I opened that up a year ago, July 2020, and it's been. I mean, I just consider it one of the most healing things for people going through this. And you don't have to, believe, quote unquote, that it's real until you work with somebody and they're saying the things like the doorbell's ringing in the middle of the night and like
Yeah.
pictures are falling up the wall. And then you're like, oh my God, how do you know that? Um, so yeah, I think that it brings such comfort. There's a book called Spirit Baby by Walter McKitchen that if people are interested, they can look it up. And he talks about how to call in your spirit baby, how to communicate with them, how to know that they're present. It's really cool.
That is
So
so beautiful and such like you said, if it's gonna improve or speed up healing, that is
yeah,
such a gift. It's a gift.
yeah, I feel like that's what I've seen. Now, of course, a certain kind of person is drawn to my work, right? That's very spiritually minded, those kinds of
Yeah.
things, right? So if you go into it being like, prove it,
Right.
then that's probably not going to be an open,
Right.
communication kind of thing.
Hopeful hit number 3.
How many people need to feel in control when they're going through
Raise your
fertility?
hand unless you're driving right now.
Yes.
If you're not looking at it. I was just having a conversation earlier that I think if you're not type A, when you go through infertility, you become type A.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I wanted to do, here's my sciencey brain. I've said for years that I need to do research around personality types and fertility struggles because I see so many type A people, a very small amount of type B. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but folks who are like,
Or enneagrams.
yes, 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 yes. Are you an INFTP or whatever? I don't know, whatever they are. Yeah. No, I find that people who are like, they're very structured and they put things in order and color coded and I have all the things and the spreadsheets I feel like that is related to like fertility stuff. But anyway, that's a research project I would love to do someday. But the third helpful hint is you are much more in control than you think you are. Now, I have a different approach to feeling in control. Traditionally, when we think of being in control, we think of finding the prescription for being your most fertile self and then doing all the things. I approach being in control as actually letting go of all of that shit. And when I say letting go, I don't mean not doing anything. I mean doing some stuff, but trying on for size what fits you. Listening to practitioners, listening to your physician, listening to your health coach or whomever, and that's fine because they've got a ton of information, but you know your body and you know your mind and soul way more than anybody else does. So here's an example. I had a physician suggest to me that I should go on the ketogenic diet. I inside felt, I don't know if that's really right for me. It doesn't really feel that great, but I'll try it. So I did it. Not helpful for me. I felt more sluggish. I felt meh. Um, and I knew it ahead of time, but I did it anyway. And that's the example kind of thing that I'm talking about. When you receive information from other people who are lovely and beautiful and want to help you, it's fabulous. Just try it on for size. See if it fits. Like if when I preach meditation, if it doesn't fit you, don't do it then. It's fine. What matters more is that it feels right to you. That puts you in much more control, right? There's a physiological response when you do the things that feel good to you. But when you engage that parasympathetic nervous system, you're in that place where you're like, this feels good. This feels really good. Now, why does that put you in more control? It puts you in more control because when you clear out all the crap, you're able to see the forest for the trees. You're able to see, oh, this is my path. This is the next thing I need to do. Nope, that doesn't feel right. Nope, that doesn't feel right. This feels right. Yay. That actually puts you on the path that you need to be on. So that's what I mean by you're actually more in control than you think. You just have to tune into it and get rid of the noise.
There's so much you have to offer. We're going to have you back. These are short, hopeful hints, but tell us more about where people can find you, what you offer, and how we can connect with you.
Sure. So probably the best place is my website, drmariarothenberger.com. I am still doing psychotherapy. That's getting less and less, but I am licensed in Oregon and New Jersey. So if you happen to be in those states and need counseling specific for fertility stuff or family building in general or living child free, I'm happy to help with counseling there. Probably the biggest thing that people seek me out for right now is spirit baby communication, but also fertility coaching. I do not have none of the letters after my name are related to physical health. So like I don't do medicine, I don't do nutrition and those kinds of things. I'm much more focused on mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness. And then spirit baby communication are the biggest ones.
I will put her links in the show notes for today to make you go and check out all of the things, which I'm looking right now. Like, what am I going to book with you? Thank you for joining us today, Maria. And
Heck yeah.
thank you, everyone, for listening to this week's episode of Hopeful Hints. We'll see you back here next week, Tuesday. If you enjoyed today's show, please head over and hit subscribe or leave a review for Hopeful Hints and Infertility Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you back here next week, Tuesday.